We're going live early. We're going live just a little bit early. Why? I don't know, because I'm already here. So I'm going to start talking because I know live takes time for people to come in. No worries, but most people will probably watch this as a recording. So hello to you. If you make a comment and it's already been recorded, I can't see it in the live. I can't believe I had to say that out loud, but it's happened more than once. People have gotten frustrated. I hadn't replied live in the video when they've commented after it was recorded. So, anywho, on to where we're supposed to go today and what we're doing today. I am a professional speaker. I get paid to go speak at events. I've wanted to be a professional speaker since I was 12. Yeah. You may have wanted to be an astronaut or superhero or whatever it is. But I saw on TV on a WNED feed from Buffalo, New York, across Lake Ontario to my home in Oakville, Ontario, here in Canada. And they were doing a pledge drive because it's public broadcasting. And they said if you donated, I don't know, $30 a month, you were going to get a VHS or beta cassette of a Les Brown motivational talk. And they said, we're going to play it for you now. And then I watched this man on stage captivate an entire audience. And I realized, oh my God, I didn't realize it's a job. And I asked my mom, is that a job? Can I just go yell at people and go home? And she's like, if you put your mind to it, honey, you can do whatever you want. And that's when I realized that was a thing. And I knew at the times because I was missing the synapse in my brain that said, get nervous. I always stood up in front of the class. I always did this. I could always talk about anything. I could make best friends with a tree. I could talk to a group of whatever you want. And I realized as I kept getting older that a lot of people didn't want to do that. They'd say it's the biggest fear and all these type of things. And I realized, okay, in business for me, it's finding a need and filling it. And if there's a need for people to do talks and I can do it, great. And I have to reverse my engineering my way to get back on, to get onto that stage. And you found out in different reasons and how it all worked. And I've had the privilege and the pleasure to be able to do this for a living since 2010, and really 2011 is where it really kicked in. I've been doing keynote talks, and that's the only kind of job really I do. And I am so blessed, so privileged, and so lucky to be able to call this a job or my job, because it isn't one to me. And you get that cool thing, which it doesn't feel like work, and I'm very blessed. What I'm concerned with is what's been happening in our industry. It's not necessarily new, it's just more now. And that's the ethics of what's happening around the industry. Now, there's two parties involved in ethics. It's just us, our group as the speakers, and the things around that. Today, I'm not going to talk about unethical speakers, which is a whole talk on its own, but I'm going to talk about the industry around it. So to do this, I'm going to give you a very brief kind of look at the world of speaking, because what happens especially if you follow me and other kind of people, keynote speakers that speak at these large conferences, you'll see this. And everybody sees that, the bright lights. Like, look at me, like I'm wearing jeans. Like, I'm the sound guy. That's pretty much what I'm doing here. But this is at a Brian Buffini success tour stop. I think this was Seattle. And like, this is everything. Like, I get tingles. Like, this is my dream. By the way, about 20 years or so, 30 years, sorry, to the month, I got to speak at Les Brown's event, which is, again, just so crazy. This is what they see. They see this. They see a big stages. They see a big paid fee, and they hear about all these things. And what they don't see is the other side of this stuff. Is to get to those stages, I had to speak at places that weren't stages. This is an example for me is the Unbooked tour. This was in 2010 when Unmarketing came out. I did 30 cities in 11 weeks, and it was all talks, 30 talks, and they had to buy 100 books, fly me there, and put me up. And incredibly, my community stepped up. This is there's a car dealership in Edmonton, that's Schlitz and my Stein in Milwaukee, Nashville, Detroit Public Library, and then the first stop on the bottom right is Dallas, which is the first to step up. And it was just people, most of it, just saying, yeah, we want you to do this. And I got to do 30 talks. Because if you want to get talks, if you want to speak, you got to speak. It's that catch-22. So part of it is, instead of, me as waiting to get booked, I made gigs. Well, I made those gigs, but they don't want to see this necessarily, right? You don't want to go to this point, and they don't want to know that behind that word cloud behind me was the 50,000 tweets I had sent. That's the word cloud from those that built up my community. I didn't build that community to do a speaking tour. I was part of a community, and the community said, we want to support this. But instead of doing a book tour, because you'd sit in a bookstore and nobody know who I was, I did talks. And I got those reps. But we don't look at that type of stuff. We don't even go farther back. This is me just trying to get into it. Look at the hair. It's more. It's the facial hair. It's more concerning for me. I'm going to be honest with you. But this is me with the demo back in the day. We'd mail out the DVD. Even before that, the Work Your Life there was even VHS level. This is my own event. The reason I created this event in town at the library, booked a room and started selling tickets and stuff, was because I needed to film a video. Because I needed a demo video. Because one of the things I learned, because I was on a committee in college to help pick speakers for an event, because I heard that it's a great way to find out why people get picked, was that you had to have a video. So I had to make sure of it. So I went and booked that library. You see it here, the Work Your Life little flyer. I look like the amazing Kreskin or David Blaine here doing my magic, or Doug Henning. And I book it. I do it. I then book a camera, a video company. And back then, this is like their full broadcast cameras and everything. Full thing. And I booked the room at the library. It was kind of like a beige, cream-colored wall. I had this burnt orange dress shirt I had actually from a wedding party. I'm like, oh, I like that. That's kind of stands out. And then I showed up for the event beforehand, and they painted the wall the day before. They painted the wall to that, which doesn't go well with the shirt and the tucking of the shirt. Amy mentions, I'm impressed you don't have bleached tips. Oh, I did. Oh, there was a time. You're not seeing that. But this was the demo I had to end up doing because I want to start climbing it. So today I want to talk to you about, I gave you a little bit of the background there. If you want the credibility, otherwise, this is the bag of lanyards from speaking at conferences. So that was awesome. That was fun. Digital summit as an automotive summit. Guess what? Here, I got an even better thing for you here. I know I'm not focused. Welcome to my world. Let me show you my other thing I wanted to give you 1 second. And to prove to you the best way is this is me falling off a stage. This is me falling off a stage in Atlanta. Hey up! There he goes. And up, back up we go. Oh, you son of a... It's fair. It's fair. It was parachute shirt. My mom taught me I should tuck it in. All right, so I've turned red. Oh my goodness, that's fun. So what I'm going to talk to you about today, there's so many ways to speak. Like you start talking, you're speaking. And I've done pretty much most of the ways. I've been a sales trainer. I've been a college professor. I've done workshops, training. I've done my own training company. I've been part of training inside corporation. So if I could yap, I was doing it pretty much. And the one thing I want to talk about, and this is what I want to do, was getting paid to speak. Because there's other ways to make money speaking. Because you can make money speaking in a bunch of other, you can sell from the stage. We call it back of room sales. So you pitch a program at the end, they'll come running and some people will sign up for it. You can speak for free and make millions of dollars speaking for free because it's the best way to position yourself in front of your target audience. I think the best way to sell is to teach. Right. And I don't mean pitching on stage. I mean teaching them on stage. That's how I filled the hopper for my viral marketing company for 6 years. It was 2 teleseminars. And I taught everything I knew about viral marketing. And at the very end, I said, if you don't want to do it, though, we can. When people walk into a talk, they shouldn't walk into a store expected to be sold. They should walk into a classroom. Because when you show how much you know, and they can apply it. And if they don't want to apply it, they hire you. You're not going to get the whole room. That's not the goal. The goal is to help the whole room, and some of them may want to work with you. But that's not what I do. I don't want to work with anybody in the room. I don't want to see the room again. I'm doing the next conference. I'm not trying to be on stage to sell you a training program for the next 6 months for your company. I'm not ripping on training companies or anything either. I want to do a keynote and then do another keynote and do another keynote. That's my goal. I'm not going to return next year. Usually it doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of great speakers out there. There's no need to bring me back twice. This is getting paid in advance. Now, this is one of the first ethical things I want to talk to you about. Is you'll see speaker training out there. I've seen a lot of Instagram ads, and I've taken multiple of the training just to take a peek, just to have a little taste of seeing what people are saying. And it ain't cool. A lot of training is pitching the fact that you can make 5-figure fees. You can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 for a keynote talk. But what they're training, because they know they can't get you that gig, their training is how do you pitch from the stage and sell. And they're guaranteeing you to do a gig. What gig is that? It's their event. And your job on stage is to sell their company, their mastermind, their community. I've seen this with multiple companies. So you only make money selling their stuff or your stuff. And if you're on the stage, the organizer of the event takes half a lot of the times, not disclosed to the audience. That disclosure thing is going to come up quite a few times today. Quite a few times today. But this is about getting a fee ahead of time. I do not leave to go to an event unless the entire thing is already paid. You get half the fee at booking to hold the date, and the other half is due within an X amount of time beforehand. If you're with the bureau, they're the ones that take care of it. I'll talk about that in a second as well. But that's what we're talking about today. So I don't want to get around everything else, because this is also the big carrot that's dangled. You know, you can make a bunch of money by doing a talk. It's kind of dangled there, but the training is otherwise, because these companies, they can't get you paid gigs. I don't know how to put that any clearer. They don't control you getting gigs. A bureau can't guarantee getting you gigs. And if you have places saying that, there's something up. There's something up. Keep digging. There's 2 paths to that stage. There's 2 paths to the keynote stage where you can make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, depending on where you are in the world and the market and everything else. And really, it's supply and demand. If a place wants you and they're going to give you $5, you say no. And you can keep going up until you say yes. But anyway, there's 2 paths. One, be famous. If Barry Sanders was speaking at a conference, the greatest Detroit Lion and possibly running back of all time, I don't care what he was saying. I want to go see his keynote. Don't care. The other way of being famous, though, is to be like a bestseller. If you get New York Times, if the book goes really crazy, yeah, you can command fees real quick. That's really the 2 ways to shortcut your way to the stage, because the other way people don't want to hear. They just don't want to hear is to do the work, do the gigs, do the talks, do the reps. Now, people think this is about gaining credibility, and it is, but it's also about gaining skills and experience. Every talk you do is a rehearsal for the next talk. Every talk you do, you can get incrementally better, but those add up. I look at my speaking videos from 10 years ago. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by that human on stage. Disgusted by it. I used to do this all the time. It was just a habit. I had nothing in my nose. I didn't do that 10 years ago. It was about 20 years ago. Even now, I say right on stage too much. Disgusted. But it's constant improvement. That's what it is. You look at anything. Writers, look at your writing 10 years ago. If you've written this whole time, it's evolved. And that's part about the reps is the important part. You get those reps. You start. Like one of my first gigs was a food court. I need to say that again. One of my first gigs, I spoke in a mall food court. And the person at the fry stand was laughing at me. They had to wear like a crown for their job. And they were rightfully laughing at me. I was heckled by high school children from the second level. Why would you do that? Why would you put the stage beneath an open area from a second level with places that sell French fries and other projectiles? Why? But those things you learn. It gets you to the point. You get those reps. You get that experience. You don't want to do minor league play in the majors. You want to get the kinks out. You want to get the trouble out. You want to get the uncomfortable out. You want to, especially if you've been experienced in business for a while. Let's say you're watching this now. I don't know if you are, but if you're watching this now or on the recording and you're thinking of, I want to get into speaking. I've been doing corporate or business for a while, and I think this is either a great way to grow my business or a different avenue of it. And you put it out there and you're like, yay, we can do this, we can make it. But you think you're funny because the only talks you've ever given have been to your employees. Your own employees are not a good litmus test of whether or not you should use humor in a talk. You pay them to laugh at you. They are laughstitutes. Give a few talks to an association or places that do not have their money tied to your name, and then see if they laugh. And then if they do, work with that. Work with that. But again, it's the reps. Hey, my man, John, I once spoke at 3 tables at a show. He's over a decade later. I still feel the shame. John and I have a few speaking stories together. And John, I don't know if you were here earlier. I'm going to pull it back here. Where's the Nashville's in here, man, if you didn't see it. There. Nashville there, top left. Look at us young pups. Look at us. So yeah, and this is part of it where John and I have been at events turning each other like, what is that? I don't know what's happening right now. And so it's like, it's a fascinating world, but it's also, this is where you learn. You learn that I want to be embarrassed by myself. I want to be embarrassed by my facial hair from 10 years ago, like, because you're always growing, you're always doing something. That's part of the fun. The way of being successful in the industry, you need to have 3 things to be a paid keynote speaker a lot of the times. You need topics, trailers, and testimonials. I just like the teas. They're really cool. Topics are simply, what are you talking about, and making sure that topic is angled towards what people are looking for right now. I don't mean changing your topic entirely to a thing you don't know, AI, but I mean just shifting your angle of your perspective or your lens of the topic. So when I used to keynote about social media, that was in 2010, 2011, 2012, when it was a big topic that everybody wanted to keynote for. Once you start seeing that topic shift into like breakouts, workshops, it's time that, okay, what were we actually talking about with social media? It was about disruption. So we started talking more about disruption, because then it was like staff and hiring and all these type of things. So you want to evolve the topics. Trailers is very simply, it's videos. It can be a sizzle reel, they've called it, a demo reel, a talk, but at the end of the day, what people really want to see is you telling or saying one story, one thing, and whether or not it works. They're trying to transfer the feeling they have in the video of seeing you and the audience from the video seeing you to their event. That's why it's very important, by the way, to have an audience mic. If you're going to get video of your talk, make sure there's a general mic in the audience. And if not, see if you can bring one in, because there's nothing worse than getting laughs from an audience and it not being picked up on video. It's just, well, it's awkward. Ask me how I know. And then testimonials. Testimonials are simply people saying, I saw the Scott on stage. He can walk and talk and do what he said, and it's great. And I've always been changed, and my business is forever amazing, or whatever that is. Those are the 3 things you kind of got to get. The problem is, how do you get video of you doing talks when you need video of doing talks to get the talk? Again, you start small. Right, you go local association, you start growing, you film some video, and you start moving. There's 3 types of clients out there that you can speak at as a paid speaker: associations, organizations, and corporations. For me, it's about, like, organizations and corporations, by the way, are a little bit of a cop-out here, by the way. I just like using 3 again. But organizations are like nonprofits, and groups. Associations are a formal association of this, or this. And they have annual conferences and regional meetings. And corporations, my split pretty much is 50-50. Like, you speak at associations, they bring you to speak at the corporation. You speak at the corporation, you go speak at the association. Right? It just goes kind of back and forth. And that's how it works. The 3 ways you can speak is directly. They contact you, you figure out, you negotiate or whatever that's going to be, and you speak. The second way is a speaker bureau reaches out to you and says, hey, we have an event that is interested in booking you. Please give us the details. Or you can be exclusive with that bureau, which means everything just goes to them. So nothing comes directly, everything goes to a speaker bureau. And if you get any spinoff or anything else, spinoff meaning you get another gig from it, the bureau does everything. And by the way, if you get a gig from a speaker bureau, but you're not exclusive, you should still give any spinoff from that event, other events from that event, back to that bureau to process. They do get a cut, but it's just ethics, and it's just the right way to do things. They did the work, they got the gig, as long as they got the gig. And here's the partner layers in our world. This is bureaus, speaker managers, and agents kind of things. Agents and managers kind of almost the same thing, but it's more like CAA and stuff, where they're a talent agency and part of it is speaking, versus speaker manager bureaus that are very specifically for our industry. So this part of the world is interesting to me. I'm going to explain how they work, and then I'm going to come out of the slides because Lord knows we don't need more slides and stuff. So let's go from here. So let me show you how they make their money. So in our world, there's only two parts that are mandatory. It's the event and the person standing on the stage. Now, that person doesn't have to be paid. It can be internal or anything else, but that's a conference. So these are layers in between. They're not mandatory. You don't have to use a bureau as a speaker. An event doesn't have to use a bureau. A speaker doesn't have to have a manager. It's a fairly newer thing in the industry. And agents, whether or not they are even involved most of the time. But the value is the bureau, takes care of the stuff. The contract's legit. And also they will suggest great speakers for years to come. Because the bureau's client, I didn't understand this when I first got in the industry, and it took me a while to figure that out. A speaker bureau, the client's not the speaker. The client's the event. Because every year you're hoping they come back and book speakers through you. But as a speaker, I'm not going back to that event every year. So the event is obviously their client. Speaker managers are different, and I'll show you why. This is how people get paid. A bureau gets a cut of your fee. It could be 20%, 25%, whatever. You figure it out. But roughly 25%. Speaker managers can get 10% or roughly that, plus potentially a monthly fee or not. But a lot of the times how the manager company works is, and that's how you grow a management company as well, they'll hire somebody, and the point is you need like 4 or 5 speakers under them, and they each pay $1,000 a month. That pays the person managing those 5 speaker accounts, plus they'll get a cut. Okay, so you see also the motivation here, right? It's like I'm very hesitant, of places that are making money when I'm not. And if so, then you shouldn't be getting a cut. Now, a manager, though, like if they're great for you, then having an advocate behind you, because actually one of the biggest assets of a speaker manager company is their relationship with the speaker bureaus. That's huge. And by the way, all of this percentage is fair. I'm more than happy to pay all of these things if we're working. I had an assistant for 15 years, got a percentage plus a monthly fee. None of this is bad. None of this is unethical at all. The point is, though, bureaus are also client-based for the events, but especially managers too. Managerial companies, I really look at extra carefully because they are supposed to be on the side of the speaker no matter what. Okay, so 2 things are happening. I want to talk about this now. In the ethical side that I want to talk today. There's so many things in business and stuff, and like some would say we've made a career about talking about unethical things in business. But this industry is very, very personal to me. I know nothing about any other industry more than I know about this world. I've been obsessed with it since I was a kid. I've been a part of it. I've done every aspect of it. And I really care about one, and that's the good people in it. And speakers, it doesn't mean only speakers are good or this. There's great manager company people. I've been on the phone more in the past 3 weeks because of all the ethics things going on in the industry with people in the industry more than the past 3 years. I've talked to some great people. I've talked to some indifferent people. I've talked to some people I probably won't talk to again. But the point is I've talked to a lot of great people. And it's been really nice for me because you get really jaded when you're looking at a lot of this bad stuff. So I think our job, and those of us who've been in this industry a long time, is to protect the people coming into it. I think that success is done through a constant elevator of just lifting people up together. If it's a ladder, put your hand back and lift. I understand you and I are both not speaking at the same event. I understand that only one keynote is that morning, and if I lose it to you, that's business. We're not going to celebrate that necessarily. Sure, okay. But there's enough to go around for us to do stuff together, to protect each other, to stand up. It's a lone wolf industry, and it's an ego and an emotional industry because we're the product. And you can play off that ego, and a lot of that is self-worth and doubt and all of these things. And people start playing off of that. Now, two ways they're doing this right now. One is bureaus, and they're double dipping. Now, what I mean by that is if I quote a fee, and let's say my speaker fee is $5,000 to do a conference keynote, and the speaker bureau, and I quote that. Now, we can quote two ways, net or gross. Now, if I quote gross $5,000, that means the bureau will take their cut out of the $5,000. They will quote the client $5,000 for Scott to speak. They take their cut. I get $4,000 if it's 20%. Or it's net. And I say my net fee is $5,000. I give that to you. You add on a percentage of whatever that is. Sometimes I've figured that out with you, and sometimes you just will do whatever that is. You quote $6,000 to the client. You keep the $1,000. I get my fee. One of two ways. What's happened with some bureaus is that they're quoting both. So I say my fee is $5,000 gross. You take your fee out of $1,000. So I'm actually making $4,000 instead of $5,000, like I said. But then you turn around, and instead of pricing it as $5,000, you price it as $7,500 to the client. So you're making $2,500 cut from the client and $1,000 from me. That's double dipping. It's so unethical. It's not funny. Bureaus who do that are unethical. It's an unethical practice. Am I saying you do any of these things, you're an unethical person? You take whatever way you want. The point is you can change it. And if you're against it, let me see the policy. If you're against it, let me see the policy in the association. Because that's how the action talks. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened over the past few weeks in our industry, and scandals and things, and people are just wishing it would all go away. It's not going away. I'm just getting started. I have nothing to do but this. My job is to speak for an hour once in a while. I have nothing to do but this. And my goal here is to have ethics policies at the associations, at the CAPS, Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, NSA in the States, the Speaker Bureau Association. There's policies in place. And if you don't have them in place, why? Why? Why are the only ethics policies at the Speaker Bureau Association about the bureaus not being unethical to each other? What about to us? Because I actually have the better one here. And this is the second point. One of the things that was happening, and it still can be happening with other companies, is there's speaker training companies out there. Okay, and you go to it and you learn how to be a speaker. I don't have a problem with speaker training necessarily. I do have a problem with some aspects of it. There's certain parts I don't think you can train. And I think anybody can get incrementally better at anything they try. But it's very hard to go to here quickly, right? I love baseball. I'm not playing on the Jays. I don't care what I'm doing in the next 3 weeks or 3 months. It's not going to change that. And these companies and they send training and they sell it and they're like, hey, you can have these giant fees, $25,000 a talk. Just come to our training. Come to our community. There was a company recently. You'd spend $13,000 a year to be a member of this community. You don't have a video yet? Don't worry. We'll make one for you. And they would charge $35,000 to $38,000 for this video. And they would have video days. And other companies have done this. Video days, and you shoot. It's a bunch of speakers that shoot in a row at a nice auditorium, usually a theater. And they bring in like your business audiences to come on in for free tickets, everything else, and they can just they get reps, they can do it, but also not a good time to film. Not necessarily. Like you need the reps first. But here's what I find out. Not only do they charge $35,000 to $38,000, the audience are paid actors who give mandatory automatic standing ovations for every speaker, or maybe just one and they just reuse the footage. I have videos in my possession here of testimonials on demo reels from actors. The person saying, I can't wait to book this speaker again. Didn't book them. And then I watch the videos and they're not great. I'm sorry, the video quality is great. It's like an 8K. It's a beautiful. They had a boom, they had everything. And the person speaking up there looks like they've just read a script. They're not ready. That's not a keynote being done on that stage. It's not. And they're being told the only thing between you and 5-figure keynotes is a video like this. And here's the rub. It's not just that. It's that some bureaus and some speaker manager companies got a cut. Picture this. I want you to picture this scenario. You watching right now are new to the speaking industry. You're not getting momentum. You're just trying, or you're just like, I'm pretty new. I want to try this. Or I've been in business for a while. You approach a speaker bureau who are held in high regard in the industry, regardless of the number of gigs they get you. Held in high regard. Hi, speaker bureau. I'd like to be represented by you because I'd like those gigs, please. I would like some gigs too. And they're like, oh, heavens, no. You're not remotely ready. Most of the time, outside of, again, the famous side of stuff, a lot of bureaus won't look at you until their clients ask for you. That's how I got on some bureau radars. People will walk up and say, hey, do you represent Scott Stratton? They're like, of course. Yeah, I'll see if he's available. They get off the phone. They're Googling, who is Scott Stratton? That's how I became exclusive with Kepler. I just kept coming up in gigs. And they're just like, who's this guy? What's going on? And I eventually became exclusive with him. Right? So you look at all this stuff. You go to the bureau and you say, hey. And they're like, you're not ready. However, go to this training company. They'll get you ready. So the gatekeeper that you think is the gatekeeper of the big fees has told you to go to this haven, this utopia of training to get better. And then come on back when you're ready. Not knowing that person got 25% of your $13,000 membership and your $35,000 video. They could have made anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 on you without disclosing it. That is unethical. And that's a real shitty thing to do to people. I know you have to look for multiple streams of income. You're playing with people's emotions, especially when you had no plan afterwards. And people, I've heard bureau people say, well, you never know how good you. Stop it. You know when somebody's ready and when they're not. You know when they're ready or they're about 10 years away. You know their topic is not going to get booked. And there's people out there with a clean conscience walking around saying, well, I just recommended them. If you don't disclose a commercial relationship in this goes for all businesses, not just speaking. If you don't disclose a commercial relationship with a referral, that is unethical. If you get paid for that recommendation and you don't disclose it, that's also known as a kickback. And when I find out the Association of Speaker Bureaus has no policy on kickbacks, we've investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. What are we talking about? What's up, buddy? What are we talking about? I'm tired of this. And I'm tired of speakers in our industry ignoring this. I'm not saying everybody's done it. There's been incredible people. I've had great conversations. But there's other speakers out there that look a lot like me, are the same privilege of me, telling others to maybe just keep quiet. You don't want to upset bureaus. You don't want to you're a coward. Coward. Our job in this industry is to protect each other in this industry. It is a singular solo industry. Mine is bureaus and management companies who care about their people. There are speakers who recommended other speakers for this that got months of membership instead. You're part of this. You're part of this. Let's fix it. There should be policies in place between us that say this is wrong because it is. Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to help in the industry. It's just us. And for those of us that have got to live this dream of speaking and doing keynotes professionally for a living, we got to turn around and look what's happening. We got to turn around and realize that some publishers are taking a speaking cut now. They're doing 360 deals for some speakers, and people don't know better. They're like, well, I guess this is how it is. No. Associations, if you're involved with speaking, that there should be talks on this. Ethics. But we're not. The associations were sponsored by the training companies. You're not going to do an ethics talk when the person taking the cut is the one sponsoring, or giving the cut is the one sponsoring. They pay bureau people to go to an event, and then the speaker's paid to go see the bureau people. You're getting appearance fees at this point. That's it, Christina, right? Integrity, do the right thing even when no one's watching. And this is it. Anita says they can't handle the truth. And it says so many people just want the shortcuts. And they don't want to do the work, the reps. It's the same thing about AI right now. It's like the Ozempic of business. It's like just give me a pill. I got to the point of my fees and keynotes from doing the reps. And that's one of the main ways to climb. And we're always looking for other ways. And I don't let the speakers, also the speakers who did the videos, you're selling fake talks. That's all the person doing it. But also I don't always rip the speaker themselves, because a lot of times they're being told this is how it's done. This is how it works. And it's not. It's just not. Speaking can be a part of your job, all of your job, or none of it. But on the fee side of it and the professional side of it, there are people coming in and wanting a piece of it and promising things. Because here's the last thing. Here's the last part of that, is because when you do get the $37,000 video after paying $13,000 or whatever it is to be your membership for the year, you go back to the bureau and you're like, hey, I did it. They're like, awesome. And you never get a gig. I would love to hear from one. Anybody. I want to hear from any speaker out there that did a fake audience talk for your demo reel and you made the money back. That's it. That's it. My email's down here. Send me a note. Anybody wants to talk and ask, send an email anytime. I'm happy to answer questions about speaking anytime. I'll do that anywhere. And Christina says, it is a good line, right? Just pulled it right out of the keister there. There you go. But that's it. That's what I wanted to say today. Just got some things out there. I hope this was helpful to some people. I hope it was not helpful to some others. And if you want to drop me a line, please do. I think all of us together can make our industry one we're all proud of, instead of the direction it's kind of going right